In Yakutia, there are storms, and then there are monsters. This one didn't come from the sky. It rose from the frozen earth itself. A roaring, white entity that swallows sound, light, and hope. And in its path, one man. His name is Kuzma. And in the last hour, his world has gone dark. In this cold, fire isn't warmth, it's life support. It's your water source, your cook, your light, your clock. Kuzma's hearth has burned for a decade straight. Now, a vicious downdraft through the chimney has killed it. The last ember, a tiny orange heart, turns black under his breath. The clock starts now. In 71 water, a cabin without fire becomes a freezer in under an hour. He has 48 hours before hypothermia sets in irrevocably. His arsenal: one box of old Soviet matches, a ferrocerium rod, some birch bark, and his own fraying nerve. It should be enough, but the storm has other plans. At 71°C, cold isn't an absence, it's a predatory force. It steals. It steals the flexibility from your fingers first, then the moisture from your lungs with each breath, then the clarity from your thoughts. Kuzma isn't just fighting to make fire. He's fighting the cold's constant draining siphon on his own body's furnace. His first enemy is his own breath. The air inside is now so saturated with moisture from his lungs that it condenses and freezes on everything. The matches, the bark, his kindling, it coats it all in a microscopic layer of ice, rendering it useless. Every failed attempt adds more moisture to the air, making the next attempt harder. The first dozen matches fizzle with a pathetic damp sputter. The 20th snaps in his numb fingers. Panic is a luxury he cannot afford. It burns calories. He must work with the slow, maddening precision of a bomb diffuser, but his hands are becoming the clumsy tools of the very cold he's fighting. The cold's work is methodical. Kuzma's fingertips are numb, waxy white with frostnip. Fine motor control is gone. The simple act of pinching a match between thumb and forefinger is now a monumental, clumsy task. He fumbles the ferro rod and it clatters across the frozen dirt floor. Retrieving it feels like a mile-long crawl. Hypothermia's cruelest trick begins. In the dark blue gloom, Kuzma sees it. A flicker of orange in the hearth. He feels a wave of relief, of warmth. He reaches towards the empty stone, and his hand passes through cold ash. The mind, starving for hope, begins to fabricate it. The line between determination and delirium blurs. Reason gives way to raw instinct. He needs something perfectly dry, something the moisture hasn't reached. He strips off his inner woolen shirt, a dire risk, and uses his knife to fray the edge. His core temperature plummets, his torso exposed to the frigid air. This is it. The last of his prepared tinder. The last of his body's reserve heat. All for one perfect spark. He positions the ferro rod over the wool. He must strike with force, but his arm is a lead weight. He brings the knife down once, twice, nothing. A third time, with a grunt of pure effort, a single, brilliant, white-hot spark arcs through the air, a tiny meteor in the dark cabin. It lands on the wool and vanishes. A tiny, glowing red pinprick appears. It's not fire. It's the promise of fire. Now comes the most delicate act of all. He must feed it oxygen without killing it with his frozen, moisture-laden breath. He gets on his knees, lowers his face to the floor, and exhales with the soft, steady control of a man blowing on a newborn's face. The ember brightens, darkens, brightens again. A tiny flame, yellow and fragile, licks up, catches a wool fiber, and holds. The flame grows, consuming the wool, finding the birch bark. It crackles to life, a sound more beautiful than any music. He feeds it slivers of wood, then sticks, his hands shaking not from cold now, but from overwhelming relief. Light, actual golden light, floods the cabin for the first time in 36 hours. The monster storm still rages outside, but inside a war has been won. Victory has a price. His fingertips are blackened with frostbite. The violent shivering won't stop for hours. He is calorically bankrupt, having burned through days of energy reserves in his 48-hour fight. The fire is alive, but he is shattered. He melts snow for water, his first sustenance, and it tastes of ash and exhaustion. As dawn bleeds gray through the blizzard, the storm, as if acknowledging its defeat, begins to weaken. The roar diminishes to a howl, then a moan. The world outside slowly becomes visible again, a shattered, sculpted landscape of snow. Kuzma doesn't look triumphant. He looks at the fire, then at his hands, understanding the transaction that was made. He will not let this fire die for a long time. He will feed it, watch it, listen to it. It is no longer just a tool. It is a testament. A tiny, flickering monument to the 48 hours where his will alone stood between life and a silent, frozen end. In Yakutia, you don't conquer the cold, you negotiate with it, and the currency is pain, patience, and a spark. The storm would forget him. The frostbite would scar him. But the memory of that darkness, and the fight to fill it with light, would be his forever.